Hello and welcome to Trojan Talk. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. With me today is Elmore DeMott, an artist from Montgomery. I want to thank you for joining me here today.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
And you're here because you're in Troy because of an exhibit at the International Art Center, an opportunity for some folks to see some of your photographic work. But before we get into talking about the exhibit and what inspired this exhibit, let's learn a little bit about you. And how did you come to be a photographer?
When I was in college, I didn't know what to major in, and my advisor looked at my transcript and said, "Oh, well, you should major in math because look at your grades." And I said, "Okay, that'd be fine." So a year later, I met with him again, and he said, "Well, you must be working on a double major in fine art." And I was like, "Oh no, because that would mean that I have to take studio art. I'm just taking the art history classes because I enjoy it." Well, he said, "You're almost there, you should reconsider." So I did and studied photography in college, but I began my career in business and then slid into arts administration, then the job as a mother. And all through that, I had a camera. So ultimately, the camera really returned to my hand officially in a business capacity. So I've been a photographer for 10 years. In the business form, and have worked in commercial photography, editorial, as well as portraits.
And you talk about you started from kind of college and worked your way to where, and it sounds like a circuitous route to get to where you were doing it full time, so to say. Was it something you ever thought that this is what you would be doing when you started this path way back when, that you'd be a professional photographer?
I am reminded of something that Steve Jobs once said. He said that when you look back on a lifetime, you see all of these points of light that are seemingly unconnected, and then when you look, you see that all of the dots do indeed connect. So I would certainly never have dreamed that I would have gotten here, but my parents exposed me to the arts as a child. I always enjoyed them, and even participated in performing arts along the way and enjoyed the work of visual artists. So it just was an evolution.
And you mentioned there that being an LLC and that you're a business photographer, you do as a business. So what's the difference? Where's the line between doing it for work and doing it for pleasure or for the sake of art? Or is there kind of like a blurred line there between them where it's one and the same?
One time when I spoke to a student group, I said to them, "Do what you love and success will follow." So of all of the types of photography, what I love the most is fine art photography. And I'm happy to report that the success has followed as I have done really what I enjoy. So on this path, I have landed in a place where I do a lot of nature photography. And that's what's resonating with people, and that's what's here in a show.
And let's talk about that exhibit because it has a very personal meaning, the exhibit and what inspired this exhibit that folks can see at the International Art Center at Troy. Tell us a little about, I guess, how this all came about.
Okay. My mother has Alzheimer's, and we knew that in 2016, but she was really doing well, but she had a fall, cracked her femur, and that was the episode that took her rapidly downhill. As a family member, I did my part to try to help, but I couldn't fix brain disease, and I found myself just needing to cope with all of the stress and trauma of that rapid transition. And I would go outside early in the morning with my camera, and I was taking pictures of flowers. One day I said out loud to a friend, "I think I might start photographing a flower a day for my mom." So on August the 2nd of 2016, that's exactly what I did. Mm-hmm. And here we are now, and I'm over 1,000 photographs in, and it is something I do every day. And you have gorgeous flowers here on the campus, and I will be finding my flower for today somewhere on campus.
So you haven't taken that picture yet for today?
Not today.
So, and do you find yourself taking the same pictures of the same flower, or are they different? All 1,000 of those a different flower? Have you seen? Are there like 2 or 3 roses in there, just maybe different compositions or something like that?
Yes, and when I speak, that's one thing I enjoy showing. Mm-hmm. Is I have a variety of hydrangea photographs, for example, and they each look different. And I photograph flowers in different phases of their life, so from the bud to the bloom to the fading, and I don't feel like I'm finished. So yeah, lots of flowers present themselves again.
Differently. And let's talk about another element of this exhibit is a collaborative exhibit, and kind of explain the collaborative nature of this because it's with some Troy University students.
Yes, I was invited to speak to the advanced photography class here at Troy. And let me just say that is a talented group of kids. They're curious, they really love their art, and I'm excited to see all that they have created. It'll be fun to see the exhibit officially hung and open. And so when I spoke to them, I shared my nature photography. Pine trees were my first big series that I did, and then worked towards the flowers. So their task was to use my artwork as a jumping off point to then create their own pieces.
And that's what folks can see at the exhibit at the International Art Center, an opportunity to see your work inspired by your mother and see their work inspired by your work inspired by your mother. So an opportunity to check out this exhibit at the International Art Center. I want to thank you for joining us today, and hope that folks get some joy out of seeing the joy through your lens. Thanks for joining me here today.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on today's edition of Trojan Talk.